Hello and welcome to another replay analysis of 7.27c. This one's going to be a Jakiro game. This was actually requested by none other than... Hang on, let's get this started. Hang on, we're going to look into the free camera. This is actually going to be by Bukkake Bandit. Probably not as PC as it should have been, but it is what it is. Valve has no way of kind of, I guess, vetting and that kind of stuff. And then later on, we've got some other games as well. I know J Games FTW had one, and there was one other one that I don't remember the name of, but we'll get to that one later. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But this is actually, we're going to look at, hang on, as I get back into Dota. Give me a second. We're going to watch, Bukkake Bandit, player perspective and everything. Sorry, one second. Technical issues to start off the day, which is not great. Let me just change headphones. I can't hear anything. Okay, there we go. All right, so sound is good to go. We are good. And now we're going to watch him go lane with none other than AM, or AKA Warren Buffett. I think that's the real one. Because when you got a lot of money, what do? You just buy Dota skins, right? Mac Dogma. And then we're going to see Mufasa. Mufasa, but he dies in the end. That's not good. That's not a good omen. Karo. Versus Rocket Man and Johnny Sins. I believe that that's the real Johnny Sins as well. So, all right, back to player perspective. We're going to watch the Jakiro, Bukkake Bandit. What do? You give up the first bounty. You don't even fight. Whereas in the top lane, hang on, the Wraith King actually stole that. So you're actually behind a rune. Okay. One thing to note is that I'm seeing that you get dual breath to start. There's really no point in leveling up the first skill right away, because you never know when you might need that ice path. You know what I mean? Like, let's say your AM dove for that bounty rune or whatever, and he was kind of getting jumped on, and you need some way to kind of bail him out. That might have been the ice path time. Now, I'm glad that you don't need it, because obviously dual breath is definitely way better in lane. But one thing to note is that when you're starting it off, start it off with the dual breath, right? Because you let that mana regen, and that's always going to help throughout. It's going to keep on going, which is great. You definitely want to start it, because as opposed to, I mean, the AM doesn't have any spells to really cast, but you always want to be casting it so that your mana is regenning at all times. It's always constantly building, and you're getting value out of it, so to speak. Okay, you haven't really been ticking on. You got to be very careful with your positioning, because if you don't want to get the two-man decays that the Undying is going to strive for, so you definitely need to keep your distance and your spacing proper. Another nice dual breath right there. Have you clicked on any of the heroes? As I will here. Okay, good, because you don't see a stick, which is great. First blood given in the top lane. We don't give a fuck. We're just going to continue to watch this Jakiro right here, because obviously the first 10 minutes is going to be on him, as he requested this replay here. So, okay, but one thing to note is that, your dual breath is up, but you need to be giving as much space as possible, right? Another thing is that I'm noticing that your camera work is, like, set in stone. You're not really moving it around, and like where it's positioned right now is not really ideal to what you want to see. Like, you had a lot of area where you should be like scrolling up here, because this stuff is where your stuff is coming from, right? Like, you might get ganked here, but what are the chances of that? Someone will call missing. But if you're up here, you're able to see the positioning, so to speak, of the enemy. Okay, so we just work a little bit on your camera work. I think it's a little too static right now. You're not trying to make like a film or a porn, as your name implies. So you definitely want to keep it kind of moving, right? And just kind of like, you almost want to make whoever's watching seasick, because you're constantly moving around gathering information, right? That's the way you need to be doing it. But a nice pull here. Again, I believe that you have a stack here, seeing as that you guys are all in the same guild. Boars. Sounds like a legitimate guild name. I hope it's not inappropriate. But, all right. You're getting some more shots in. You do need to just kind of make sure that you're not getting killed, because that, like, when you have 4 decay stacks, it kind of like catches you off guard. Oh man, I would scroll up. You're gonna get destroyed. Yeah, you had no choice. Yeah. So you kind of just stood there, right? Like, if you're not going anywhere. He's got the the Enchantress, the enchant on you. Basically, you're really not gonna. You don't have much of a choice. You either need a TP, which is kind of risky at that life, because you obviously need that to TP on back to help on in, or to just stand your ground and fight, right? So another thing is that just work on the camera angle, and then kind of work on the positioning and the spacing that you need to be with that Enchantress. She's the one that can really kill you. The Undying, you just need to make sure that you don't get decayed, and then that will provide enough space. So if we're looking at last hits, 11-0 versus the Undying 16-2. A bit of a concern, right? So what do you do when you're in this situation where AM can't even get to the lane? Obviously, you need to zone as much as possible here. I don't think you got the 2-man dual breath on him. But basically, you want to, like, you're doing a good job now of zoning, right? But it's going to push at some point. 354, thanks to note, another dual breath. Now you're low. What do you do, right? It's probably best to just kind of back off, start to look at the stack as you get run up on again. You got liquid fire. Great. Use that whenever that's off cooldown. And you've aggroed the creeps, which is just a little unfortunate because of the AoE. And now you're going to stick it around, looking to do a pull, which is great. But again, your camera is directly on you, right? I'm sorry, but you're not, the star in the show, so to speak. You need to move that so that you're always looking at roughly where can they be? Where can the enemy be? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, is my AM okay? Do I need to help him? What needs to happen? So again, just kind of stuck on you, right? It's just me. But okay, AM really needs to make that pull. If not, actually this XP is pretty massive for him. The lane will pull. I mean, best case scenario, you did a stack and then you pulled. But judging by that timing, I think you just kind of want to push that as fast as possible. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, if we're talking priority, of course. But you did not get the 5-minute rune. That is a travesty, right? You need to move. You need to understand that timer. That internal timer needs to happen. At 4 minute 30, you know what I mean? 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Like all of these things where you're kind of like, okay, this is the time where I need to stack or just get into position so that I can kind of see what the enemy is nearby and then try to secure as many runes as possible. Because again, your team is kind of failing in this department. Boar's only getting that one, the Veno, which is unfortunate. I think that you've only gotten 2 runes this entire game. And if we're looking at the first 5 minutes, actually that's a pretty big swing in terms of net worth, right? And as obviously the Wraith King Undying doing very well, Wind Rangers up tops. So in terms of the laning, they've been really killing it. So some things to note, right? Just have that internal clock, especially as a position 5. You definitely need to kind of work through. And the second thing is that you need to do the pull through. Like denying, great, but are you gonna pull? Because if not, he literally just gets 2 jungle last hits, and you're sharing this XP, right? Like if you're pulling this through, you're denying the XP of the Enchantress and the Undying, right? If they lose an entire creep wave, oh man, you're getting slowed up here. Enchanted on now. You got to run on her tower. Oh, we should not have turned. Now you're gonna die for that. Yeah, you just gotta run. You gotta run. Yeah, like I understand that you want to cast some spells as on your way to go, but this is why level 3 is. I mean, Ice Path level 1 sucks. Okay, but and dual breath is definitely the right choice. But you've died twice now. Okay, so at this point, I think that you actually need to leave the lane. Right? As I say that, you do not listen to me, but that's fine because this is a replay. All right, I'm not going to be offended, but you need to be just backing it up, stacking things up, and then that will actually help you as well. Obviously, stacking, you get that shared XP or that gold, excuse me, and that new mechanical change in Dota. But this lane is going to push. You've kind of lost this lane already, right? And it's 7 minutes in. So how are you going to get back in this game? And the only real way to do this is to stack, right? Your AM wants to farm, and yeah, he's kind of stuck in the jungle now. All right, we'll do a free cam. I think 7 minutes. We've seen enough. But yeah, he needs to farm as fast as possible right now, right? And he needs to carry this game because this lane is toxic. It's very poisonous, very difficult, and he's behind in terms of levels, right? Where's his Ring of Health? I think it's on the way. It's taking like the long way around, but that's fine. You're playing a little bit careful. Just try to deny as much as you can. The issue with your spells and like that liquid fire is that they slowly tick down with that DOT. So it's easier for them to kind of predict when they need a last hit because obviously, it's slow burn, so to speak. But your AM is kind of giving up on the lane, obviously, which is great for you so that you get some of these creeps and getting XP and as many last hits as you can get. It was obviously ideal. So try to get that one out as soon as possible. Okay, another thing is that just turn this on right now. For some reason, do I see myself? Okay, all right. I'm having issues with sound issues, starting it off with a bang today. But Undying, man, he's got Urna Shadows and Arcane Boots. And this is kind of not what you want to see, especially this early. Super, he's been having an easy game, so to speak. And he's actually going to back up here, get the Ring of Health, so he's like his regen is just insane. 10.4, he's got all of his spells available. I mean, he's only like he's not level 6. Like that's the only thing. Whereas your AM is, he's got the Ring of Health first, which is I'm cool with. Because he needs to sustain, he needs to keep himself up in the lane as long as possible. But you guys are going for it. I don't think this is a good fight for you. And you're pretty much just paper to this guy, right? And this is kind of where I'm thinking that maybe you should probably just back up and then just stack, right? Because he needs, I mean, it's fine that the AM is level 7, right? Which is actually, he's doing pretty well, right? So he's getting back in the game, but he can't really farm in lane. He needs to find other places. So stacking this stuff will help you long term. As I say that, the Undying is back in the fountain. Okay, this is a travesty. I don't know why he walked all the way back. But you need to get, okay, 9 minutes, 40 seconds. What is the next objective for you? And it's just the T1. I probably would have TP'd to the outpost here, look to get this rune. Obviously, you want as much XP as possible, but right, your movements are not efficient with what the team needs, because the supports are the kind of, I hate to say it, the supports are the guys that need to just run around and get these runes, okay? I always make this the analogy that the runes are free ice cream. You need to take the free ice cream right at the 10 minutes. The longer it waits, it melts, and obviously it doesn't depreciate or anything, but you need to understand that these runes are actually super important in game. And this is crazy to me. Seeing 2 runes like this, literally on both sides, no one's actually picking them up. Okay. Another thing that I talk a lot about on my stream is getting Magic Wand, which gives you that +3 attributes. I mean, yeah, you have more than 10 charges now. You have 11. But generally speaking, you should always just want the stick and then get brown boots. Like, your movement is god-awful. It's 290 movement speed. This is super slow. If we're comparing this to literally every hero on the map, 320, the enemy team that is, you are literally the slowest hero on the map, okay? So if you get caught out of position, you get stun locked one time, with maybe the cask, maybe the Wraithfire Blast, you get stunned once, you're pretty much dead, okay? Because your Ice Path level 1 sucks. So, what was that Ice Path? Okay. Did you just, like, vomit for no reason? Okay. Interesting. Okay. But, yeah, if you get the stick, the brown boots, excuse me, before the wand, this will be more efficient for you, because then you're able to actually move around. 335 is not that bad. Now, one thing to note is that your team, and I hope you're on like some sort of voice comms, because the fact that the Wind Ranger is here and there hasn't been a call, at least in game. Yeah, okay. So now you're freaked out and you TP on back. No, you excuse me, you cancel that. But now you need more TPs. Call it in. You have 722. You need to shift click. What is the next item you're going to buy, right? I mean, yeah, if it's a secret shop one, you really can't do that. But generally speaking, this is a good habit to have, where you constantly have, like, okay, and now you're going for this, the Wraith King. He's level 6, so more than I would, well, not 100% in this day and age, because generally speaking, they will probably skip the reincarnation. But you have to, like, if you're going to Ice Path somebody and you're going to go for it, you're wasting a lot of mana, but you got to secure a kill. You got to get something out of it, right? And so if you know it's like a Wraith King who's like pretty much full, level 6, and you probably assume that he's going to have reincarnation, and it's a good assumption to have. It's so there's really no kill potential, so to speak. So that's kind of why that Ice Path was like, haha, I froze him, but I'm not really getting anything out of it, right? So that's kind of the type where you kind of need to just work on that a little bit. Like right now you have no mana. So this is a struggle. Yeah, you had to buy Clarities, right? And you actually went Tranquils. Okay, that's fine. But what is the next item you're going to go? So, like, if you can shift-click things... The reason why I do this is that you can hotkey the quick buy for the item that you have here. So if you're about to die, you just hit whatever it is, and then you just instantly buy out. So you give up as little unreliable gold as much as possible. Unreliable gold, if you don't know what that is, please do check that up on the Wikipedia for Dota. I think that that's a good mechanic to understand and why you shouldn't really be floating gold. As I say that the Wraith King has to float gold because obviously he wants that Sacred Relic. But here's the thing. If you know that a hero wants to go Radiance, I'm talking like the Spectres, the Wraith Kings of the world, generally speaking, they will carry a lot of unreliable gold, and this guy's got about 818 right now. And so this guy can become a target, right? If you're there happily farming and you see that, you can click on this hero whenever he's, near a creep wave and you have vision of him, you can see exactly what he's bought out. Like he's obviously been happily farming, he's had a lot of space, but you haven't really been able to, you have to assume that this guy's just saving up for a Radiance, right? So your team needs to be like, this is a guy, we need a bounty on this guy. We need to take this guy down. Yeah, it's going to suck in the fact that we have to kill him twice, but can it be done? Yes. Seeing as that you see that the heroes are top, right? You've seen the Enchantress and the Undying because they've been dueling with the Mufasa, which I love the name, and the Veno for this entire, the second part of this game so far. So this is the time where you're kind of like, we kind of need to regroup. Right? Like Ember could probably make a play. He has drums, which is a pretty big power spike, especially at this stage. Wind Ranger's been completely shut out. Has Naked Javelin and the Blink. In terms of net worth, doing pretty well. As a Wind Ranger mid, that's not the worst thing in the world, especially at 15 minutes. But you're kind of by yourself, right? And really, there's not much you can do. You can't really slow him down. He doesn't really care about your dual breath, right? He'll just back up, tango it up, and he does heal at the end of the day. So you're actually more at risk than he is. Okay, so the Plague Wards, I don't like it, the fact that you're just placing them willy-nilly off cooldown because he's happily farming, right? This Undying will just eat those things for breakfast. I do like the fact that Underlord is cutting the creeps here so that when your creeps do come, and does have the siege, and they've actually had to call reinforcements because of this, that pressure that you've provided. But this Undying is becoming a problem. He does have Hood already, and he has a lot of magic resistance. Oh my gosh, he's going into the form, the Death Pact as well, and that's going to do a lot of work, and that's slow on that Remnant, and this is never very good. Especially, okay, you're going to all die for this. 3 for nothing, right? So here is the thing. Let me just rewind this, because I think that this is a good learning point, right? If we're looking at vision alone, okay, yeah, you've done some pressure. It's 2 on 2, okay? Hang on, let me just pause this right here. Pause here, okay? So, as vision, let's just look at the perspective of the Veno here. Where's the Veno? Okay. Let me just slow it down. Player perspective. Oh my gosh. All right, okay. This is kind of, I just did it so that you can kind of see what they're doing. Now I'll change to free cam here. So, on the mini-map, you can see that the Wind Ranger was TPing. You can actually see the end of it, right? Somebody's TPing, you don't really know because of the tree. I get it. That's fine. Okay? But you did see the fact that there was an Enchantress and an Undying there, and there's a tower. I always look at towers as that third person. Okay? So it's basically, you know what I mean? Like if you're talking basketball or whatever it is, 3 on 3, kind of even, right? You, generally speaking, when you want to take a fight, you want to be up numbers. You want to be 4v3, 5v3, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So that will give you the greatest chance of winning the team fight because it's a numbers game. Even if you're behind in terms of items and stuff like that, this is your best chance, especially this early in the game. Okay? So that you've seen the TP, so that your numbers have skewed from a 3-3 to a 3 on 4. And this is why, when you see this TP, this is a really bad time to take a fight. What you could have done, and when you see this TP, is let it complete, right? And once it completes, then you might actually have even seen this one as well, right? So 2 people have TP'd away, meaning that there are 3 heroes on the map that can technically TP, right? Who's going to TP on in here, right? So this is the time where you got exactly what you wanted. You wanted people to rotate, and they've respected the fact that you've put on a lot of pressure, and now is the time to look to hit the other places. Like if your team was like, oh shit, two TP'd here, let's just all TP, or make our rotation. Let's just move on down into the mid lane. Or if you want to go crazy, we can literally just all TP to the bottom and then have a 5-man push who left the Wraith King behind, who's by himself. And there's only 2 other people that could TP bottom. So you're taking that numbers advantage that we've been talking about, right? You would take the fight 5v3. And this takes like somebody who's got really good game sense, somebody who's kind of like a good captain, a good shot caller, right? Because what instead you're like, oh, you know, screw it. The tower's low. We want to stay here. We're like, this spots out everything. Do you think they will take a fight on even? No. In the same way, they're going to be prepared. They have the ambush set up, and you got ambushed, right? But the thing is that the signs were there. You saw exactly what they were trying to do, and you got debated into this, right? And you lost heavily for that. Okay. So just, I mean, taking team fights, right? And so even that said, even the Wraith King at TP top, right? If this is the case and your 3 other guys, let's just say, I mean, Mustafa dies in the movie and he dies in this game now, but this is the time where you know that everybody at TP top, right? So nobody has TPs. So I like the fact that you're pushing this tower and trying to do as much damage as possible. I don't like the fact that he's taking tower damage, but it is what it is, and he's got Battle Fury at 16 minutes. So Warren Buffett, he understands how to make some money, right? He's living up to his name. So this is the real Warren Buffett, by the way. But it's all about space. It's all about space, understanding timings, understanding what things are on cooldowns, right? Like, they know that, like, what? The Wraith King had his on, you know, cooldown as well. The Witch Doctor actually ran all the way from the top lane to the bottom lane to kind of deal with this. But, oh, you're looking to take another fight. Ice Path catches on one, gets on the Witch Doctor. Johnny Sins, not like this. He's got a big schlong. Okay, anyways, Undying slowly getting whittled. He does have his hood if he wants to pop it. He's just going to heal himself up, and he's just going to walk away. Man, that guy's so tanky at this point. So, another thing to note, right? Undying's itemization has been on point, right? What do you... Pretty much your entire team, except for this AM, is all about the magic damage, right? And the fact that he has hood, and he's probably going to go pipe very soon, negates a lot of what your team wants to bring, which is straight up magic damage. Even the Ember Spirit is going kind of... Well, he's... not entirely sure. He hasn't committed one way or the other because he has drums, because he can kind of go both ways. But generally speaking, in early Ember, tends to be the magic type until he gets, you know, the Battle Furies, the Desolators, that types, right? So, okay. And Wind Ranger there getting a solo kill on the AM, further putting you behind. Okay? But another thing is that you probably should not have been diving the T1, T2, like that area. Take out what you can. If you see the rotations happening, and again, this is very dark, very blind, right? You don't really have the vision, so you don't know what is coming, right? Yeah, you saw the TP's top, and you assume that was the worst of it, but literally that in that time, the Witch Doctor had made his rotation all the way down, right? And the Dire team is playing smart, objective-based Dota, right? They understand kind of how to move. They've been sticking as a team. Everybody TP bottom, right? Or sorry, let's start from the beginning. Everybody TP top, they got the T1. Then they saw that you were pushing here. They ended up rotating all the way down, grouped everybody up, and they took the bottom T1. And this is the situation where your anti-mage is like, this is when the game gets hard. Because the space that he has is very limited. For him to come back in this game, his shoulders are going to be super heavy, right? It's going to be very difficult to kind of carry all of this because of the fact that, like, pretty much it's all on him. And for him to fight... Look at the amount of stuns. The Shackle could potentially destroy him. The Wraithfire Blast, the Cask, all of these things are just kind of single target, reliable ways to kind of just deal with his AM. The AM needs to just kind of bounce around. He's getting Manta, which is fine. A pseudo defensive item here. But I think that your issue right now in your team is that you're so far behind. As I say that, you're like kind of catching up in terms of net worth. But generally speaking, your team is behind, right? He has Pipe, he has Urn. This Wraith King is still a ways away from Radiant. So that's a small reprieve. That's a nice Shackle there. Just walking on up into a Cask, into the single one. And that's going to be a dead Underlord. Mufasa. Not like this. I said Mustafa. All right, well, just fast forward this. Because we don't got time for pauses. All right. And yeah, and he dies. And Johnny Sins with his big stick out there and the totem. Just making sure that it's completely zoned out. And look, like, one thing to note is that when you see, like, carries, they're like, oh, we'll just go Radiance. Like, you know, I won't fight till I got my Radiance. But if you're taking towers, like, this is the fastest way to farm. Just take towers, take objectives. Like, your team is very strong because your team had a really good laning phase, right? Like, this Undying is almost unkillable at this stage. These little wards are just going to try to slow it down. A nice Ice Path there into the Veno alt. They're going to back up now. The Malediction, probably not the one you wanted. This Veno is going to slowly tick down at least the Witch Doctor. And he's going to go for it. The Ember's going a little deep. He gets the 2-man shackle with the chains. They do kill the Witch Doctor. I mean, DD really helps with this. But, yeah, he turns that around. But I don't know if Wraith King is really the one you want to go on, especially since he has Reincarnation, right? You probably want to focus on this Undying. Okay, so he's dead for the first time. Nice Ice Path. Wraithfire Blast on the Veno, who's just going to kind of kite him on out. Chains on up, and Rocket Man goes down. All right, Jeremit. Remnant forward. He still has DD, still wanted to fight, but I mean, okay, this this Wind Ranger is level 16. Something to note. A 2-man Ice Path Knight into the nice Pit of Malice, which makes it very easy. The Tombstone is down. What do you guys do? If you're gonna fight, you gotta kill that Tombstone first. But you don't. You just look to retreat. It's the Day of the Dead. Everybody retreats. Mufasa is running for his life. And yeah, this Undying, man. This thing is crazy right now. The damage amp, the 25% aura, is pretty sick. Like, anytime he goes into Big Willy mode, you pretty much need to respect him and give him some space, because you really can't fight into that, especially with the Tombstone up. And that will just kind of dissuade that attack from happening. Wind Ranger here he got his Maelstrom. He's going to go Orchid up next, which is great. Because, I mean, obviously Scythe and all that stuff is great. Is probably better, but you just silencing him and just so you kind of get rid of his get out of jail free cards. I think that's pretty much ideal. The Ice Path is gonna miss. Pit of Malice is there. Ember is now here. He's gonna Remnants on forward. He's gonna go for the Undying. Chains does not connect to the Shackle though. The Blade Mail though, this is a problem. Wind Ranger needs to stop actually hitting it because that Blade Mail. No, okay, that's enough. And the Uber is gonna try to get on out, but not quick enough. That 6 seconds or whatever, that charge up time takes forever. And yeah, you just look to take the tower. You didn't get the last hit, but you die in the end. So a little bit of an issue in terms of your positioning, right? And your team is being super aggressive, right? When your team is behind, and obviously you don't know the difference in net worth, but you can see the kills, right? So you need to be a little bit more cautious. You can't be making those jumps because at the end of the day, they have so many ways to TP on you, and they can just kind of ambush it up. This team wants the 5-man team fight. I mean, they have such good team fight. Like, if you're looking at almost everyone, they want a team fight. So AM realizing this is just going to split push, right? Which is, I think, the right move. This is the only way he's going to split and save time, so to speak. And for AM, and yeah, he got the top lane, he needs to cut the mid-creep wave. Because this will pretty much, because once you kind of macro pyre this and just kill all the creeps, they don't have anything to push. You know what I mean? Like, if AM had cut this one, so AM needs to do a better job of jumping between the different lanes. I can't draw little circles, but like when it's getting pushed out like this, like AM should be here. He should be killing this one. Like, he should be bouncing in between the lanes, making life miserable for the 5-man deathballing lineup, which just wants to kind of just straight up and push, right? And with this lane pushing, it's like, what's the natural inclination for this Dire team? They're probably going to make their way bottom, and they're just going to get there and just look to push. I mean, they have so much space, so much farm. I mean, net worth-wise, like, the AM is on top, but he's been doing a good job of just finding ways to farm. So props to him on this, while your team is kind of getting picked off left and right. A little bit of an issue. How to make it better, right? What do you need to do? Like, AM needs to think about, what is that late game boss? Who am I going to fight in the end? It's probably going to be the Wraith King, right? He's almost got, I mean, he's got a Sacred Relic now. He's going to get Radiance, which is actually very late at this point, in comparison to the AM, that is. But I think he has it on the way. Yes, if I can click. Yes, he does. Okay, so now he's got Radiance, which makes it a little bit harder for AM to fight. He's going to go Abyssal up next. Do you go MKB at some point? We shall see. Undying here, saving up gold. Don't like that. You don't really need to have, like, if you have the surplus, you should always spend your surplus. You've got buyback, which I think is the right call, especially at 25 minutes, because you never know when a fight goes bad. And the heal up on Jeremy, he's going to just back up here. He don't care. Okay, so you've got the magic damage, which is nice against the Enchantress. She's going to hate that, right? So she needs to work on her positioning. She needs to ensure that she's on the skirts, the outer skirts of the fight, and not really in the midst of it, so to speak. So Undying is kind of tank things up. Wraith King is going to be in the middle of things as well. while the Wind Ranger, Wind Ranger, Enchantress, and the Witch Doctor are all just kind of picking people off from afar. And this is something that's really good and underrated on the Witch Doctor. The Cask, obviously, is a really quick way to farm. Just bounce it around. The more creeps, obviously, the better it does, and the more damage it spreads around, which is great. All right, one thing that worries me, though, is he's going to screw up his... I mean, he's not going to be able to counterspell. He's not going to be able to mana dodge some things at some point, right? Like, when he fights the Wraith King, potentially will be an issue. So do you go BKB? Do you go Lincolns? What do you do? Right? You need some sort of defensive item. I think that's going to be next up on that list, especially... I mean, the Basher is fine, but full Abyssal will take him a while to get everything, right? And so I'm worried that a team fight happens and he just gets stun locked, because without that defensive item, you really don't have a way to get out. But AM doing AM things, consistently looking to just create his own space now by split pushing. Ember's kind of fallen off. Like, we haven't seen too much of him since. And to be honest, I think that this game... I mean, we didn't really watch the laning phase for the Ember, but seeing as he's behind the Wind Ranger, who's like little tops on the Dire, I think there's some things that he could have done better in the laning phase. Another thing is that, yeah, good. This is a good Ember in the sense that, like, give the farm to the person who's going to carry this game and win you that game. All right, so does have Orchid on the Wind Ranger. Obviously, we talked about the Radiance, and it looks like he's going to go AC next. All right, one thing that I like about Pit Lord, or Underlord, is the fact that he can push the lanes very quickly like this, right? But what he needs to be doing is just put the Pit of the Firestorm, cast it on the creeps, and just hide in the jungle, right? Because if somebody comes, you have outs. Like, they don't know exactly where you are. You can Uber yourself out at the end of the day. If you see some sort of rotations, like I would Pit right now. Sorry, I would Firestorm right now. Cast that, go back into the trees. You have no reason to stay around, because showing yourself on the map gives away a lot of information. Yes, they'll see the Firestorm, but they don't know if you've TP'd on out. They don't know if you're still around. They don't know any of these things, right? So if you kind of just keep yourself at a distance, I would say, like you don't need to be in line of sight at all times. I think that's like the biggest thing. Supports do it too, but as a Pit Lord, that's probably the biggest thing, right? Is just making sure that you're off the map. You have no reason to show, right? As I say that, yeah, okay. So the Wind Ranger's here. Somebody rotated, right? So if you see this, I would not have TP'd here. What I've done is probably rifted here, force some rotations back. So you're constantly playing the ends, and you're creating a lot of space for the AM to just happily farm in his own jungle, right? So if you're kind of, this is in my opinion, the proper way to play Underlord and not just AFK in the fountain. But it's providing that space. And that's kind of what he excels in, right? Because he has so many outs, right? Like, he has that Dark Rift. He's got a TP even on, on cooldown and whatnot. So he's got all of that. Now, the T2 is going to be, sieged here. But to be honest, I don't really think you need to fight for this. Yes, it gives up the potential for an outpost take now, but I don't really think that, like, you have enough wave clear with these two to not overcommit. Just get the creeps off the tower, and then that should be fine. And then AM should be moving in and out, taking the creep waves, cutting the creeps where possible, right? I know that it's a little risky with all 5 there, but this is what they're trying to do. This is the death ball that we talked about, right? The 5-man death ball. And so the AM, how do you beat a death ball lineup, right? And I feel like I need to create like a PowerPoint on this. But basically, death ball, split push will beat a death ball. Gank will beat the split push, right? And then a death ball will beat the gank. All right? So I need you guys to just visualize, because obviously I'm not doing no PowerPoint for you guys. But yeah, AM, continue to split push. Figure out plays to find... Oh, gosh. The dust is here. Oh, gosh. Not like this. Counterspell. Good. Blink. All right. Nice 2-man shackle by the AM. Yes. J-Games, you must. This is how you're going to get better. You need to visualize this. But, okay, you have Ember as well. Like, generally speaking, you have 2 heroes that are almost identical in playstyle, right? They want to do kind of the same thing. Oh, my gosh, this Veno literally just walked in that Yules. But you don't have any mana. Why don't you have any mana, sir? Okay. And the Venom got blown up by this Wind Ranger, who will probably die. Yeah, the Ice Path securing that. But, man, why don't you have any mana, sir? And the cask, you got to spread it out a little bit. And it looks like you're going to look to take this moment as an opening. AM is pushing bottom, by the way. So I think that you need to disengage. There's an Ice Path here. Nice Pit of Malice. You do kill the Witch Doctor, but that's really... I mean, yeah, okay. That's a late Rift. Get on out. Get on out. The Yule saves him in the end. Great. Good. And you've actually pushed it back. I don't know why you're running back into the secret shop, right where the enemies are. The zombies have found you. They know they have your home address. And the Bukkake Bandit is looking to get Bukkake'd right now. He has to smoke up to save himself. Great. But you provided a little space. That's fine. The smoke just to keep yourself alive. Awesome. Oh, no. Not like this. Yules? Somebody. Okay. Yeah, nobody's here to save you, sir. And you just get shot in the head. Okay. Like, again, I think that you were over-aggressive. Like, you know that they're going to stick together. Like, these are like the Power Rangers. You don't see them isolated at any moment. They're always together. And they're always sticking with as like a group of 5, right? So, if that's the case, you got that nice pick-off with Wind Ranger. What do? You would probably back off, look to push out the other lanes, and then with Wind Ranger down on buyback, you could potentially have roached. You know what I mean? Like, those are the little openings that you need to find. Right? Like, all the lanes had been fixed because of the fact that the AM was pushing the bottom lane. The top lane was in a decent position. But you had the Wind Ranger dead. If he buys back, then you get out of rush. Yeah, the silence. Oh! The power shot. Okay. Wow, okay. All right. Whoo! And this is why I was like, okay, and now you're going to go BKB. Okay, fine. But here's the thing, right? If once they start getting the Atos, like, does anyone get Atos? Any of the supports? No. I don't care about Ember. Ember died. But yeah, you can't really fight into this. Like, you don't have an AM. Your Ember just died. What do? And as I say that, you slowly whittle down this Wraith King. He'll probably die the first time. But your positioning is really not good, sir. You don't need to be up front. Okay? You have 2 heads, but apparently 0 brains. Because that positioning was not great. I'm sorry. But, like, you need to cast your spells, but you need to do it from the trees. Right? Get yourself out of line of sight. Use the Fog of War to your advantage, right? Just standing out in the open, like, this is super easy, especially if somebody's up on top, which the Enchantress was, and they're just going to pick you off, right? So next time, just kind of work. Like, what you need to be is never the one up front. You need to understand that the Underlord is probably up front because he's tankier, and then you covering his retreat or his, his attack, but you need to be doing that from the trees. Your positioning as a support needs to be in and out, okay? You think of yourself as a creepy old man. I'm pretty sure you are a creepy old man, but that's what you need to... That's your play style. That's the way supports need to be played. You need to be off the map, cast your spells off cooldown, and when they come back on cooldown, cast them again, and then hide back in, right? Your right-click damage, yeah, you have Liquid Fire, but you cast that when you're casting all of your spells, but you should never be up front. Never be out in the open. And I'm sorry for saying that you have no brain. I'm sure you have a very big brain, and it's bigger than mine. But whatever, okay? It's definitely not as big as Johnny Sins, that's for sure. Nonetheless, okay, BKB on the AM. But the worrying thing, though, is that it's 33 minutes. And it looks like you're kind of being like, okay, this is the fight. This is pretty much all in, right? As a poker player, you're kind of all in. You don't have buyback, right? So seeing as you bought that item, is this item going to turn everything into your advantage? Are you going to win? Does it turn around? Because net worth-wise, okay, nice. I passed there into a pit, and the Undying is going to go into Golem form, Flesh Golem, and it's going to do a lot of work, but you're kind of focusing him. Very nice. The Wraith King will probably die. The Macropyre just sitting in this. The Death Ward, Witch Doctor gets into position. Jakiro got shackled with the Ember, but you're still not in the worst position. The AM is now going to BKB, and yeah, you need to focus up on that. The Underlord just dies. Oh, the Witch Doctor, no glimmer, no way to kind of keep himself alive. He gets silenced, but for what? Where was the counterspell? Not like this. Yeah, you probably should have backed a little bit sooner, right? So this is the thing where there's kind of like a lot of control. And this is where, like, you pop the BKB. Actually, let me just rewind this. I think that this is a good learning point as well. As people come back from the grave, let's just do a quick one. All right, let me slow this down. All right, so the Flesh Golem is here. Into the Veno. And you've committed all of these, your ults, the Macropyre, all this stuff onto the one Wraith King. You've killed the golem, and things look good. But what did your team not do? Right? What did your team not do here? And if you're looking at that, the tombstone is staying alive. Right? This tombstone is kind of underrated. It slows everybody down. It builds up a lot of damage, and it creates all that. Okay? A lot of issues with that already. Right? First things first, when an undying, it's kind of like the phoenix egg when you see that. You have to focus on that. You have to tell your team to just, we got to focus on the sun ray. Like that, the egg. That's like the most important thing. In the same light, the tombstone is almost as important as that. Okay? All right, let's just kind of rewind it. Okay, you walked perfectly into that two-man shackle. You made the Wind Ranger look amazing, but this game is forgiving. Now, you're kind of screwed because the Witch Doctor is here and is on the back end of this, and you don't really have any ways to stop him. 3 seconds on the Pit of Malice here. You're probably going to die on this one. So the Jakiro, you die. But what is the AM doing here? Right? So this is a little bit of indecision. Okay? Yes, he's shackled. The Pit Lord here is running away, just trying to run. Actually, you running right now, going 2-2, but their carry dead, is actually not the worst thing for you. Right? Because what you've done is that you've baited out the alt. The Witch Doctor or the Witch Runner could potentially chase after you, but with, the mobility that you have, you could get away, right? But the thing is that look at what you did instead, okay? And mind you, this is a very 50-50 game, okay? But what you do instead is that the AM is just getting cast to death, but instead, he BKBs and he decides to go in, right? Okay, I understand that the Witch Doctor does not have his ult, but the Underlord kind of low at this point, doesn't really have, he doesn't have Greaves up for another bit, and he's a little bit half. This Wind Ranger is the problem, and is actually the only one that can really do damage. But here's the thing, another thing is that you haven't been able to commit onto it and secure this guy. He doesn't even get the Pit of Malice down. Now it's a 2-on-3, and you're looking to go on in this guy. And the AM is there, but he doesn't get a lucky bash. Super unlucky in that sense, but he's been silenced now. Once you're silenced as an AM, you know what I mean? Like this Wind Ranger here they're gonna fuck you up. Okay? Even this Witch Doctor is just happily laughing. You just got your baited. And the fact that he has a tango in his backpack just makes it even worse. But yeah, you can't get away from this. The Maledict on top of that, look at all the damage. Just completely gerbated. Right? So that was a case where a little bit of indecision, the fact that the AM actually went this way, and then BKB'd and tried to go in, really that was a bad decision, okay? I understand that the AM is playing well in this game, and he's doing his best to keep you up. The net worth speaks volumes in this. But in the end, that was actually a bad decision, okay? Warren Buffett does make some bad decisions at times, and that's one of them. Oh, gosh, the shackle is going to be off the mark, and yeah, you got to be super careful. Good silence again, but the focus fire, okay. All right, you know that they have Orchid, but I feel like nobody's responded in kind. You have the BKB, the AM has the BKB. The Ember is get a BKB, but I think I'm wondering if Lincoln's is better, right? I'm not sure because this thing is just super annoying. Like the supports and like the Veno, who in my opinion has kind of had like not as much of an impact as I would have hoped. Like, usually you see an offlane Veno and you're like, oh my god, this guy's toxic. He can kind of slow things down. But he hasn't really been able to pop off and be that poison that everybody wanted. And the reason for this is that why the Veno is not that good in this game is because look at the amount of sustain that the Dire team have, right? Like, the Wraith King has ways. Obviously, he's just super tanky himself. There's a heal from the Witch Doctor, the heals from the Undying, and the Enchantress, right? So with all of these heroes that have gone a ton of healing, what do you guys do? How do you counteract all of this healing? Is there an item out there? There is. I'll let you think about it as I drink my coffee. Do you know what it is? It's Vessel, right? It stops the healing. You could have built some charges, and obviously you only have 10 kills, so you wouldn't have that many. And obviously he has it, but he hasn't been able to cast it on the right one, right? Getting it on the Undying. Getting it on the, like... Who's the guy that you're going to kill? Like, this guy's, like, he's only 1600 life. He doesn't seem very tanky, but once he goes into Flesh Golem mode, he becomes a beast, right? So this is a guy, 100% if you're going to go on him, and you need to focus these things, right? Who needs to... Oh, the shackle there. That was actually super nice. Okay, this is another textbook example of why you Firestorm, but then you run into the jungle. You run into the trees. You never need to show yourself as an Underlord. That's the power of him. He's so annoying. He's like an NP, but a hideous NP. Actually, they're both ugly. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But, like, he can be super annoying because he could be split pushing all of the lanes. And at this point, you went from a 1k net worth lead to that terrible team fight in the mid, and now you're losing by 7k. Like, this 26-10 looks bad, right? But this is the type where, as a team, and I know that you guys are playing as a stack, you're still in it. You're still in it to win it, right? You just got to keep your momentum up. You got to take good team fights. You got to understand the objectives. And you haven't had a lot of space that can be done. But the Dire team, on the other hand, have been looking to just kind of deathball it. And they're, like, the slower that they go and the more indecisive they tend to be, the more chance of you coming back it is, right? All right, so the call is going to be for Roche. Risky. I always say that whenever you go up a hero, 5v4, that's the time. Because if you force a buyback, you know that they're coming for you. But yeah, you just got scanned on out. The power shot will further showcase all of that. But do you have even the proper wards to do this? Yeah, you had this ward. Okay, that's not the worst one. And you had this one. Okay, all right. So actually those wards are good. I'm going to pretend like you did it as a Jakiro. Okay, so this Underlord, again, just get in the trees, man. Get in the trees. Wait for your cooldown. Like, don't need to show yourself, Mufasa. Man, I feel like you're like the real Mufasa, just like walking into your own death. Okay, by the way, I love The Lion King. I have a weakness for that movie. Okay, chains up on the Enchantress. But how are you going to deal with this guy? This guy, okay, Ice Path. You got 2 on the back end. He's going to try to out-heal through this, right? He's healing right now. Oh, my God, this Veno just gets destroyed. The nice shackle up on the Ember catches him out. No BKB, right? Well, you have Minotaur Hone, sir. Okay, you're making this Wind Ranger look like Weehaw, because just the amount of shackles that he's gotten. Oh, nice Ice Path there. Nice pit. Okay, that'll be the death of the Wind Ranger. So you 2-2. Not bad. Not the worst thing in the world. But, okay, continue on in. Good. You're going for Johnny Sins. All right. Interesting choice. Okay. All right, he's a doctor. Counterspell there. Okay, the reincarnation for the first time. But now Mufasa is in a bad spot. The Yule's up on the, the Wraith King. At least that, on the back end of that. You got a nice 2-man Ice Path into a pit. They're very low. AM needs to be, okay, what is the call? What's going on? Mufasa. Oh, that Enchantress. That's slow. Oh, he does get slowly whittled down, and he dies in the end. And through it all, the AM and the Wraith King, the only position 1s on each team, have survived. Okay. Interesting that he has the tier 1 neutral. I'm pretty sure there's a better neutral item that Wraith King has not gotten at this stage. Okay, yeah, like Spell Prism, actually pretty good. Just the amount of cooldowns, like, that's super annoying. Every 4 seconds he gets to blink. Like, oh man. But he's still gonna go Abyssal. Okay. Yeah, you need more lockdown, I think. Okay. Veno right now is kind of falling off completely. He's going to go Aeon Disc. I'm okay with that because he gets bursted. But his issue is that his positioning has been off, right? He's kind of been caught off. Like, usually the Venos that we see, especially offlane, they tend to be this tanky type where they just kind of sit around. They just out-heal, sustain, like Greaves. Yeah, so, okay, now it's going to be called 3-man. That's an interesting ward. Okay, you have the vision, and if they had a ward here, they don't. But you know what I mean? Like, placing this ward here would have given away the fact that you're doing a Roche. The power shot will dissuade it. Okay, this Wind Run on forward. Dark Rift. He's gonna actually Dark Rift into the mid. He does have Lotus. Okay, that's good. That's another good item. Finally. All right. Underlord, good item there. You know what I mean? The amount of single target stuff just help. All you need to do is protect your AM. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it looks like the Dire team have decided to go nice macro pyre right into it, but you might actually speed up the killing of Roche. Ice Path on that end. The blink in forward. The Lotus. Oh gosh. And they're looking to fight this. The Pit of Malice is on the back end. The BKB is now being used, but he's been silenced. And you got to save your BKB pretty much for that. And it's looking to be like a full-out retreat right now. The Death Pact and the Death Ward, that is. And the Underlord not being able to get out of that. Okay. What went wrong in that fight? first things first, I think that he didn't even pop off his BKB. The second thing is that the Underlord, what you had done is you actually just TP'd just to get into the fight. Why not just use your TP? Like, why would you use your get out of jail free card to get into the fight when you need to use that as an escape, right? And look at this focus fire. Look at this guy. It's like a freaking machine gun. But yeah, some buybacks are happening. Jakiro and the Underlord. Okay, good. I like the fact that you've actually saved up for buyback. That's like a step up from a lot of other terrible, terrible people in this world who don't save up for buyback. But it looks like Roche is the call. And yeah, they'll slowly whittle this down. There's really not much you can do without that AM. And that's going to be the first Aegis going to the way of the Wind Ranger. And this Wind Ranger is the problem. Okay? If we're looking at target priority, who needs to die? Like, I feel like your team is too focused on this Undying and the Wraith King. Right? Yeah, they're going to do damage. Yeah, they're going to do some work. Yeah, they're going to stun you up. But this bee needs to die. This bitch. I'm sorry. Okay? Like, it's super annoying because she has no survivability. 100% glass cannon. Obviously, she has the Aegis now. But do you think this wand is going to hold up to anything that she has? Second thing is that you know that you have an enemy Wind Ranger, right? She's been tearing it up. If we're looking at last hits, or sorry, 11, 2, and 11, right? How is it the fact that she's gotten away every single time, right? Do you have the catch? Do you have the Atos, which I think the Veno should have? Does not. Do you have MKB on any of your cores? No. Right? Like, even more than Abyssal, your MKB would have done way more work. Okay? If you had Basher and MKB, that would have been way better. Okay? That would have helped your team more. Okay? And this is kind of like, generally speaking, this is a very cookie-cutter build. Okay? And it works, don't get me wrong, most games. But there are times like this where you need to itemize properly. And Wind Ranger, it's like going up against a PA. Like, you're that late game hero, you're going to fight her, right? How are you going to deal with her? How do you man fight this lady, right? And you need that MKB for that, okay? So you need to prepare yourself a little bit better. The itemization has not been on point, so to speak. Okay, so back in, mind you, Undying, he's going Vanguard, just super, super tanky. Look at this, 53 regen, HP regen. I don't like the fact that he did not go Vessel. I think that Vessel is actually really good, just in general. The amount of, the wards. Another thing is that you should probably place, okay, that's just a scouting ward there. Okay, 2-man chains, but probably not the 2 you want to go on. How are you doing this? How is the fight happening? Okay, so you're going for the Witch Doctor first, not letting him ult. Okay, I get that. Mana Void a little bit early. Oh, the AM just gets crumbles. Does not have buyback, and this is going to probably be the end of that, and I think this is the end of the game. Yeah, not really much you can do from that. The Witch Doctor... So yeah, and this is going to be slow picking, so to speak. The Underlord just sacrificing himself, literally jumping on that grenade for the sake of the team. But yeah, he's going to die in the end. And I think that's pretty much all she wrote, right? Like, I feel like this is a GG push, no buyback here. I mean, the Veno, right? He's just squishy support at this point. Not enough itemization, or not enough items to really fight. This Veno really kind of low impact. All right. They're going slowly and surely. They have a T2 top, so let's just speed this up. I think that's pretty much GG. Yeah. And they're going to start taking out T4s. That's the right call. Like, if you don't even know, like, you just push the T4s, and if they buy back, hey, all right, just back off. I forced a buyback, right? But you're asking them a question. What is the question? Do you have buyback? They don't buy back. They don't have it. So, yeah. Actually, that game was a lot closer than the end results look like. I think that you really had some openings. You definitely had chances to get back in this game. I really appreciate that you sent this replay. Bukaki, what's your name? Sorry, Bukaki Banquet? Bukaki Buffet? What was your name? All right, we'll check it in the score sheet. Bukaki Bandit. I'm sorry. I think Bukaki Buffet is your dad or something. But thank you so much. Obviously, you sent that one via Reddit. And your name is actually 50lashes. So your team has the chances of getting back into the game. I think that there was a little bit of a low impact in terms of just the Veno. Like, you don't really have the catch to deal with the Wind Ranger. She was just having a heyday. She was just kind of dominating the lane, and the fact that like she went Orchid super early meant that you need to counter itemize properly. So yeah, like if we're talking about impact, right? Like level 16 here, I think that's like a dead giveaway, right? The fact that he's 0, 10, and 13, this guy didn't have a really good game. Sorry, Karo, for me being mean to you. But I mean, you had the damage, right? Like, and you provide a lot of damage, but you need to sustain yourself because you need to keep yourself alive. Let your wards work for you. I think positioning is your biggest thing. Another thing is that maybe instead of, like, again, MKB definitely need to have been done. I feel like another thing is that if you're, Maelstrom or Drums, like, these are a lot of mid-tier items, right? And you didn't really pop off. You didn't really do all that damage because you didn't go the right-click physical build or the magic style. Like, you got to stick to one or the other, right? And I felt like you're kind of like this hodgepodge itemization. Like, it's like you weren't really sure which way to go. I think that in the end, I think that MKB probably would have been your best choice. Yeah, but thank you so much for that replay. If you like what I'm doing, obviously I do this every single day on my stream on Twitch. You can find me at Holler TV, and I definitely post them up every single day on YouTube. So please give me a like and subscribe on YouTube. That's probably my biggest thing. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.